Hello, I'm Detective Stokes. I've been working on a case for the past 3 weeks now, and it seems as if we're getting nowhere. So I've decided to come to the people of the internet and ask them for their help. I realise how unprofessional this is of me, but I've exhausted every other resource. Let me explain. On the 31st of December 2015, at approximately 11:45 p.m, I was headed out of the office after finalising some documents before the new year began. As I approached my car, I noticed this was attached to my windscreen. St James's Street, 12 a.m, 1st of the 1st, 2016. Be there, or someone will die. I realised that this was an anonymous tip-off and to a murder that was about to happen. I wasn't too far from the scene, so I jumped in the car and I went straight there. I pulled up to the end of the street and I heard a scream. I raced down that road, but I found I was too late. There, lying on the floor before me, was the lifeless body of a young girl. I called my co-workers and they promptly arrived. After some questioning, I was told I could go home and rest. I was sat in the driver's seat of the car, about to set off when I decided to play some music. I reached over to the glove box and got out my favourite CD to calm my nerves, Elvis Presley. I opened the case and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was this. Where were you? Look what you made me do. How had it gotten there? I screwed the note up and I put it in my handbag. I tried to forget about it. I decided I'd show my boss in the morning. I barely slept that night. I couldn't shake this feeling that this person knew me somehow. That they weren't just sticking a note to some random police detective's card, that this was personal. I went to check on my daughter Lucy. She was fast asleep, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning, so I made myself some water when I noticed this on the countertop. What a fun night. I can't wait to see what tomorrow brings. Happy New Year's, Detective Stokes. How had it gotten there? I keep my personal life private. And me and Lucy have always kept ourselves to ourselves. I spent my whole night racking my brain trying to think of who it could have been. I thought for a moment maybe Lucy's father, but if it was, I couldn't understand his intentions. He packed up and left when she was only 2 and we hadn't heard from him since. The next morning I arrived at work and there, on top of my paperwork, was another note. Yesterday was only the beginning. How far would you go to save someone you love? My hands shook uncontrollably. Who the fuck was this person? What did they want from me? My mind shot straight to Lucy. I mean, I hadn't checked on her that morning before work. I rang her straight away. I had to be sure that this psycho hadn't gone anywhere near her. I could barely dial a number. The phone... 3 rings felt like a lifetime, but she answered. Her sleepy morning voice sent all my worries away. My head was all over the place. I couldn't understand who they'd mean. Lucy was the only person who meant anything to me in my life. I decided to ring her again, just to make sure. The phone rang and rang and rang. My heart began to beat faster and faster. She answered, but this time it wasn't her sleepy morning voice. It was her muffled tears. "Mum, please help me." The phone went dead. That was the last time I heard my daughter's voice. After a week after she'd been kidnapped, I'd still heard nothing. Of course, I did my own research. I spent many sleepless nights trying to find her father, because maybe it could have been him. But as it turns out, he lives in America now, and he has a wife and 2 children. I was at a complete loss. On the 7th day of her disappearance, I was headed home from work after another police interview, and something was different. My front door was ajar. I went in and I noticed this on the fridge. "You never answered my question, Detective. How far would you go?" I screamed. I threw the note on the floor. Shortly after, my phone rang, and it was my boss telling me to come to the police station urgently. As I got there, I realised they had something important to tell me. "We'd received this in the post," they said. It was a video of Lucy, and there was a note attached. It was addressed to you. I think it's time for me to explain. It has come to my knowledge that you have money, Detective. A lot of it. Money that someone like me needs. Below, I have attached information to an account which I would like you to transfer 2.5 million. If this request is not fulfilled by tomorrow noon, your daughter will die. Please, remember, I have shown you what I am capable of. I couldn't bring myself to watch the video. I read the note over and over again. 2.5 million. Yes, I'd come into some money, but not that much. We spent the afternoon scrolling through the CCTV footage to see if we could catch a glimpse of this anonymous messenger. The closest we got was a grainy image of a hooded figure. The next morning, at about 8 a.m, I heard some noise outside on the porch. I dived off my sofa and opened the door. There was no one there. There was just this stuck to the door. Tick-tock, detective. They were playing with me. This was a game to them. They knew I didn't have that type of money. They must have known. They knew everything else about me. But I guess that was the point, wasn't it? They'd never intended to give me my daughter back. A few hours later, my doorbell rang. It was my boss again, and he said he needed to escort me up to work. We drove up, and I sat in his office. I couldn't take my eyes off the clock. It was 11:33 a.m, and there was just half an hour to save my daughter's life. He told me we could try and analyse the handwriting and compare it to people who were on the system. We scanned the notes in, and the system came alive. It was just as the screen came up with no matches found that I heard the clock chime 12. It was too late. I ran outside, and sure enough, there she was, in a car, speeding away in the distance. My baby girl, a lifeless body on the floor. She looked peaceful, almost as if she was sleeping. I walked over to her body. It was quite calm at the time, and looked down, and there was this pinned to her clothes. I'm sorry I had to do this, detective, but I stick by my word. I completely broke down. My daughter was the only person in my life, and I was left completely alone. The next few days were a complete blur. I mean, there were police interviews, and media hounding me, people calling saying they knew who the killer was and they didn't. So I'm asking you, people of the internet, please. It's 2:43 a.m. and I just received this through the letterbox. Ready for round 2? Please. I don't know where else to go. If any of you can identify the handwriting on these notes, or the person in this picture, please contact me. Please help.